Today is January 9th, 2023. Yes, we made it out of 2022, stumbling into 2023. This is Morning Headlines with Patriot News Network. We are changing it up a little bit from the morning coffee. We're also going to be Just Thinking. That is going to be airing at 3 p.m. Central Time, Monday through Friday as well. There's a lot of information out there. We want to make sure that we get it all to you. So this is our way of trying to get as much information to you as possible on a daily basis. A lot of work that goes behind this. So we'd appreciate it if you like, share, follow, make sure and help us get our word out there, which will help us in return keep this show going. So we're going to jump right into it. We're going to talk about some headlines today that woke up to, and just touching on these right here. We have a very interesting thing that happened in the Houston taco shop. Let me jump right on here and play the video for you real quick.
Frightening moments inside a Southwest Houston taco shop Thursday night. A masked man who police believe was in his 20s, dressed in all black, pointing a gun and demanding money from the more than half dozen patrons inside the Ranchito Taqueria number 4. Then, a heroic attempt to stop him. A customer steps in, pulling out a gun of his own and opening fire, shooting the suspect multiple times. The alleged robber stumbling to the door and collapsing. Police say he died at the scene. The shooter then retrieves the stolen cash and returns it to patrons, before appearing to make a startling discovery. The gun the suspect used was a fake. Surveillance camera footage shows the man outside. The search for the man sitting here at table 4 is now over. Police say his attorney has reached out. Meanwhile, authorities are still asking customers with any information about the shooting to come forward.
Now, I don't know about you, but me, after watching that, I would have to say that that makes you realize how important the Second Amendment right truly is. I understand the gun in the end ended up being fake, but nobody knew that in the restaurant. And that could have been a gun, and that man could have had the intention of taking somebody out. And in my opinion, if you're going to go in and you're going to do a crime, whether you're holding a BB gun, a real gun, a fake gun, it doesn't matter. If you are holding a gun, then you are displaying the intention of harm to others. Then if something like this happens to you, unfortunately, I believe that's what should. Now, this proves that a person with good intentions can stop a person with bad intentions. And we know that this administration is trying to get rid of anything with a magazine of 10 or more, which would basically outlaw almost 80% of the handguns that are out there. It's ridiculous. This is why good people need weapons. I'm glad that he did get his attorney. I'm glad that he did speak up because hopefully nothing happens to this man. I mean, he did everything he should have had. So we're going to go ahead and jump into another one. This is a story in Detroit. They had caught a family, had been told by a teenager that she had been raped by an individual. And, well, let's see what they did.
Prosecutor's office for review. One neighbor who saw the man being beaten up says he's lucky to be alive.
You got a child predator out here.
Neighbors and onlookers recorded the bloody aftermath. The man is severely beaten after allegedly sexually assaulting a teenager.
Protect your kids, man. Protect your kids.
Absolutely tragic. It really is. It is affecting a young life and a family. And it's going to definitely take time to heal.
Captain Rebecca McKay of the Detroit Police Department says officers took the suspect into custody Tuesday night.
I hope you get everything that you deserve.
And although police would not confirm it, neighbors who witnessed the beating and those in the video say the suspect knows the victim.
It's sad, and it just hurt me so bad. It broke me down that a man would do that.
Carmen Witherspoon saw the man beaten up after the alleged assault. She heard the commotion outside of her home in Northwest Detroit Tuesday night and opened her front door to see the child rape suspect practically naked, surrounded by the victim's furious relatives.
They beat him over there real good. He was on the ground. He managed to get up, and he ran across the street, and he was on my property. He fell He slipped and fell. And that's when they beat him some more.
He was bloody. It was nothing but blood. It was puddle on the ground.
From what I heard, they stomped his top lip off.
His mouth appeared to be very bloody, and it was just like he'd been in an MMA fight almost.
Mark DeAndre, founder of 7 Mile Radio, provided Fox 2 with this video. The victim's relatives reportedly confronted the suspect after he allegedly raped the teen. They chased him around the neighborhood and dispensed their own form of justice before calling police once they caught up with him.
I'm not mad at the way that it happened, whether it be swift street justice or, through the court systems and the jail systems. I think that we need to raise awareness about this type of situation, because too often they get swept under the rug. We have a lot of victims, both women, girls, and boys.
Sexual assault is a real thing. It occurs at all ages. I would just ask that parents, teachers, advisors, administrators, family, just always keep your eyes open. Listen. If you see something, say something. Obviously report any suspected abuse to the Detroit Police Department.
And this suspect is no stranger to Detroit police. There was a warrant out for his arrest for a non-fatal shooting over on the city's east side. As for this rape allegation, investigators are hoping a charging decision is made in the next few days.
All right, so here's the deal. I know this kind of can touch on a slippery slope, and the reason being is because there are a lot of times, sometimes I should say, that allegations are made against man, woman, doesn't matter, that are false. So I definitely understand that. From what I was gathering with this story, from what I could, it almost seemed like they had caught the person in the act. So I'm not 100% sure on that. So don't quote me completely on that, but I do believe that was part of the deal. And so the reason I bring that up is because I know this was street justice, and I know a lot of people say you can't take the law and the matter into your own hands. But sometimes you have to ask yourself, why not? If somebody attacked your daughter or your sister and did this to them, why can't you? Why do we live in a world where they have to go through a system that is inevitably many, many times, hundreds of thousands of times across the country, there are cases sitting on the desk of some detective that never get solved because they don't have enough manpower. They don't have enough time. They didn't have enough evidence. They weren't able to investigate it enough. Whatever the case may be. And that person, that girl, that guy, whoever has to live with that for the rest of their life. And that's also a reason a lot of women don't report these types of things, because they feel like, what's the point? It's not going to get solved. Nobody's going to believe me. Nobody's going to take me serious. Nobody's going to believe what I say versus what he says, or vice versa. So it's very sad that things like this are happening, and yet nobody is trying to stop it. And then when somebody does, there's a lot of backlash. Oh, they can't do that. They can't. I'm going to have to strongly disagree in that deal here. So what I want to read here is something that I stumbled upon that was very, very interesting. This is about the polio jibby jab. All right. And let me blow this thing up all the way so you're not going to see my face here, because I want to try to make sure that you can see that. So make sure that your screen is blown up as good as you can. So this is the Federal Register from June 1st, 1984. Now, if you remember, the jibby jab schedule used to have like 6 or 8 in it until the 80s, and then it's like 14, and then it just, since then it's jumped up. Now there's over 82. That's the number 8. 82 jibby jabs from 0 to 21 years old. That is absolutely insane. That's insane to put. Sometimes they're shooting these kids with 3 or 4 or 5 in one leg and 3 or 4 or 5 in the other leg, and giving them 6 to 10 injections at a time. And these, by the way, folks, go look and see how much research gets done about these. See how much these get what kind of tracking is done on these jibbies all throughout the time that they've been given, and you're going to be blown away. There is mercury in these things. Why? Research what that is. Research what that could do to the body. But let me go into here real quick. Okay, I'm going to start here in the left column about halfway down. It says, moreover, the several minor outbreaks of polio arising from 1970, 72, and 79 in unimmunized populations of the United States and abroad make clear that the immunization program is essential to the protection of the public health. The FDA emphasizes that the lots used in the clinical trials submitted in support of the license were properly judged to be safe for purposes of the initial licensure decision, and that in view of the technical nature of any possible deficiencies in the lots. Now, the FDA does not believe that action to revoke the license under 601.5 is warranted. So this is the FDA sticking up for it, saying, no, we don't need to get rid of it. However, although they continue, the availability of the vaccine may not be in immediate jeopardy, any possible doubts, whether or not well-founded, about the safety of the vaccine cannot be allowed to exist in view of the need to assure that the vaccine will continue to be used to the maximum extent consistent with the nation's public health objectives. Now let's back up there. Let's back up there and listen to that sentence. It's kind of a run-on. However, although the continued availability of the vaccine may not be in immediate jeopardy, any possible doubts, whether or not well-founded. That means anybody doubting this, whether or not it's a legitimate doubt or something they dreamt up in their head about the safety of this, right? So if they have physical proof, i.e. adverse reactions, or if they have someone unalive, that would be well-founded. If they're saying that, it causes you to go crazy 10 years from now, that would probably be unfounded, right? But about the safety of it cannot be allowed to exist in the view of the need to assure that the vaccine will continue to be used to the maximum extent consistent with the nation public health objectives. Now, folks, I don't know if you understand the severity of what I just read, but what they said was whether or not it was founded, they didn't care. It must continue. It must roll on. They must go in the arms of the public for their best interest. It doesn't really matter what they think. It matters what the FDA wants to do. Sound familiar? Once again, the record was June 1st, 1984. They do say in the good book that nothing new happens under the sun. A friend of mine tells me that often. And every day, come to find out she's right, quite a bit. Now, I want to jump on this real quick because we're still talking about January 6th. That was just past the anniversary of that. The huge insurrection on the Capitol, the violent turmoil, the danger. But I ran across something that hit me today that just had to look at it and coming to think about it, I just don't remember hearing much about this. But we're going to go ahead and play this real quick. This was Trump's inauguration day. Just want to take a little clip of this and take a peek at it. And of course, it's got a load. Why? I don't know. It was already loaded, but apparently it decided to not. or maybe it's already taken down. That is a possibility that it could have been taken down in just the short amount of time that I took to pull up and then bring it up here. Let's see here. Wow. Don't you love technical difficulties right in the middle when you're trying to show it? That works out perfect. All right. Well, I guess on to the next story. But anyway, it just was pretty amazing to watch the amount of damage, watch all the things that happened, burning of cars, flipping of cars, demolishing stores, all of this in our nation's capital. And that was just, once again, that was just some displaying of unhappiness, from the other side, right? Just some displaying of unhappiness. No big deal. Don't understand what the big problem was. That's all they were doing. So it shouldn't have been any big deal for that, I guess that video, wow, they got taken down that fast. All right. So now on to the next thing. The United States opens doors to limited migration from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, Venezuela. Well, I know that we've had pretty much openings for the last 18 months, but this one here seems to be, we're going to open it up legally for illegal immigrants. Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. So up to 30,000 migrants a month will be allowed, not illegal immigrants, migrants a month will be allowed into the United States from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela, while restrictions are tightened on those seeking to enter illegally. So I guess all of a sudden now, after letting 4.85 million, however many it's been, into the border in the last 18 months, all of a sudden now we're going to tighten the belt up, right? All right, so these measures will expand to expedite legal pathways for orderly migration and result in new consequences for those who fail to use the legal pathway. So now all of a sudden they're going to lay down the law on people coming in illegally that don't come through this program that's going to allow 30,000. So Biden was scheduled to speak on the plan, which in his latest attempt to ease the pressure of the overall border, where it was often desperately poor, undocumented immigrants that were coming, and they were seeking asylum, right? Now, you do have to leave out the fact that they're going through 4 or 5 other countries to get to where we are, to get to the American and Mexico border that provide asylum. That is why you saw all the Venezuelan IDs on the Mexican side of the border, is because they had already received asylum in another country there. This is just, it's mind-blowing, isn't it? Similar program was launched for Venezuelans in October, allowing them to flee the poverty and repression of South America, because things are bad there. So come here, and we don't know what we're going to do with you. We don't know how we're going to take care of you, but come here, and we'll figure it out, right? Again, I'm not really sure how that's really going to work out. And one of the things just not even that long ago, back in September of 2022, right? The Department of Homeland Security actually talked to us, right, about, let me see if I can blow this up a little bit more so y'all can catch it. The DHS was talking to us about Venezuela had been emptying their prisons and sending them to our border, right? So the Department of Homeland confirms that Venezuela empties prisons and sends violent criminals to our southern border, right? I just wanted to be quiet for a second. I wanted to let that sink in. What did they do about it? Oh, that's right. They let him in. They just let him in. Folks, you have to. Sometimes this is really difficult to even talk about, because you just have to imagine, or you can't even imagine. Like sometimes what you're reading, what you're looking at, what you're seeing. sometimes I'm so taken back when I read stuff, when I look at it. I have a hard time finding how do I put words into this, because it doesn't even make sense. We knew these violent criminals were coming, and we didn't even get their fingerprints, their biometrics. We've had over 1 million illegal immigrants come into this country that we have zero, and I mean zero, no fingerprints, no pictures, no IDs, no facial nothing. We have absolutely nothing on them. We had a gentleman, I'm not going to say a gentleman, we had an illegal immigrant that beheaded his girlfriend in the middle of a street up north in broad daylight, in the middle of the neighborhood. That's pretty intense, wouldn't you say? In the middle of the day. I mean, what about this one? Illegal alien in Alabama charged with attempted murder for allegedly trying to burn 6 people. 6 people alive. Trying to burn 6 people alive. And this is happening every day. Only a few make it through the mainstream media. And do they make it through on CNBC or ABC or any of the CNN? No. No, it doesn't make it through on those. But you got to go to the conspiracy sites to find them, right? So let's talk about this one. Biden finally, after 18 months, letting 5 million people through the border in 18 months. Well, he decides to go on down to the border to check it out, right? Now, what's also very interesting during that visit that he did was, let me pull this up real quick. Yeah, let me show you this real quick. So to make sure that they put on a good show, a local El Paso reporter confirmed that police were arresting people at the border in advance of Biden's drive-by. Of course, he did a drive-by. He's not going to get out and he's not going to walk or anything like that. That's a national security concern, whatever the case may be. But during his drive-by, they were arresting people. For what? I mean, he knows that he's letting them through. He knows that his administration, his policies have let 5 million people through. Why were they arresting them in these people crossing in front of Biden when he's driving by? What kind of donkey show is that? What kind of total crock is that? Is that for the CNN cameras, the ABC cameras, the CNBC cameras? You bet your ass is. You bet your ass that's what it's for. It's exactly what it's for. Well, when he got to Texas, I will say this: I don't necessarily agree with a lot of what Abbott does in Texas, and I am a Texas resident. So, but occasionally he does something that makes me want to give him a high five. So, Greg Abbott hand-delivered a letter to President Biden on Sunday, met him on the tarmac, and told him, "This is your fault, right? Your visit to our southern border with Mexico today is a $20 billion too little and 2 years too late," the letter began. "Moreover, your visit avoids the sites where mass illegal immigration occurs and sidesteps the thousands of angry Texas property owners whose lives have been destroyed by the border policy." Now, of course, he goes to El Paso to this one little section where it's all cleaned up for him and got everybody moved off site, where he's just seeing a few people get arrested for photo ops, right? He's not going to where the ranchers have had their fences torn down hundreds of times and their cattle murdered and their homes burglarized. And he's not going to where these cities have been terrorized. We're skipping all that, right? We're just going to the photo op set. Even the city you just visited has been sanitized of the migrant camps, which have overrun downtown El Paso because your administration wants to shield you from the chaos that Texas experiences on a daily basis. Now, I'm going to call bull crap on that, Abbott. You know that Joe knows exactly what's going on in that city. He knows exactly what's going on in that border. He knows exactly how overrun these towns are. So that is a crock, right? The letter continued, "This chaos is the direct result of your failure to enforce the immigration laws that the Congress enacted, right? So we have laws. Now, I know we don't know what that means much anymore in this country, but we actually have laws that are supposed to prevent this from happening because it's called illegal immigration. But somehow we have allowed an illegal act to happen over and over 4.8 million times in this country, and we don't care. The citizens don't care. The administration doesn't care. And we can say, no, don't say the citizens care. I care. If we cared, maybe the entire state of Texas that was tired of it would go line up down on the border themselves and say, no, you're not overrunning our country. Maybe the citizens that cared in Arizona would go light up on their border, and California and New Mexico and everyone that borders, anyone that borders. Maybe we'd go down there as citizens and we would say, enough is enough. We've had enough. We can't afford this. It's going to ruin our country. You can't just invite millions of people in and then support them and give them money every month and give them benefits and give them free health care, give them housing, give them food, which they're all getting. They're all getting that. Who's paying that tab? You are. I am. And that tab bill is super high. Super, super high. Your open border policies have emboldened the cartels who grow wealthy by trafficking deadly fentanyl and human beings. The letter said, Texans are paying an especially high price for your failure, sometimes with their very lives, as local leaders from your own party will tell you if given the chance. Possibly. Abbott told the president that the crisis was caused because Biden violated his constitutional obligation to defend the states against invasion through faithful execution of federal laws. Now, why can't the state stand up for itself with its own laws? I think it's time for Texas to recede, right? Abbott advised Biden that when he finished the photo ops in a carefully staged, managed version of El Paso, that he needed to comply with the many statutes mandating that various categories of aliens shall be detained. And in the practice of unlawfully paroling aliens, they're giving them these court dates to show back up 6 months or a year later or 2 years later, 3 years later. I forgot what it is. I want to say it's 2 years later. They're not showing up. They can't get the paperwork in fast enough, so judges are throwing out the cases, letting these people stay. You must stop sandbagging the implementation of the Remain in Mexico policy and Title 42 expulsions and fully enforce those measures as the federal courts have ordered you to do. You must aggressively prosecute illegal entry between the ports of entry and allow ICE to remove illegal immigrants in accordance with existing federal laws. You must immediately resume the construction of the border wall in the state of Texas using the billions of dollars Congress has appropriated for that purpose that is still sitting there. You must designate the Mexican drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. Now, they are not listed as foreign terrorist organizations, but that mom in Ohio that went to that school board meeting and scathed them for talking to her children about gender reformation at 8 years old, you are the domestic terrorist, not the drug cartels that hang people from bridges and behead them. Not them, but you, trying to control your kid's life. How dare you? How dare you? Now, on that note, it just gets even funnier. You are reading that correct. Biden prepares the 2024 re-election launch report. Now, this guy doesn't even know where he is half the time, doesn't know which direction to go when leaving the podium, doesn't know who to shake hands with, can't complete sentences. Sorry. But 2 years from now, he's ready to do it all over again. What do you think in the comments? What do you think? How long do you, what kind of think he's going to be, what kind of votes you think he's going to get? I mean, he did get more votes than any other president in the history of the United States ever. So maybe this time he could beat his own record. Yeah, maybe. All right, so we all watched the 15 House House of Speaker elections the other night. What a joke. We had 6 people standing their ground to the very end, and several of them ended up folding, all for making deals, concessions. That's how our politics is run, folks. Instead of standing up for what's right, you stand up for what's right until somebody meets your demand, because that is healthy for our country. Excuse me. Dan Crenshaw wanted to call people that were holding out for McCarthy to become Speaker of the House, well, they were terrorists. Then he says they shouldn't be so thin-skinned. It's just jumping into the ring of politics. I can tell you one thing I think about Dan Crenshaw is he is one giant rhino. And I can't stand that man. And there are a lot of people in this country that feel the same, especially in Texas. But he doesn't care because he's going to do what Dan Crenshaw wants to do. He doesn't mind. Now, what's interesting about this whole speaker deal for me was I really, truly thought we were going to hold out there for a while. I really, truly thought we were going to stand our grounds to change the outcome of politics. I was actually excited about the 8th or 9th or 10th time. I was like, holy cow, we're truly going to stand our ground and change the way politics. Wrong. Wrong. I was wrong. It's back to politics, business as usual. Nothing's changed. All right, next headline. This one really got me. The reason I had to bring this up is I saw this and it was just blown me away. I love the Epoch Times. They always have a lot of good stuff. But this thing was really just really pretty mind blowing for me. Right? This tells me let me find the correct way to put this. This tells me the critical thinking ability of our time. One of the most perplexing aspects of the ambiguous direct-to-consumer prescription drug advertisements is the seemingly endless reaction of side effects in the drug ads, right? So this is where they're like, oh yeah, they're playing in a field and the golden retriever's running up and they got the kids and they're playing in the park and you take this pill and your life could be this awesome. But you also might have, leaky gut, heart attack, death. They go on this rant. I can't even do it, but it's a rant of, all these side effects. Well, what they're saying in this article is the fact that they can include the minor side effects, right? So you hear heart attack, death, blah, blah, blah. You're like, holy crap, but then you hear the, leaky eye, just, runny nose, itchy ears, whatever the ones they say that you're just like, oh, I mean, I can deal with the itchy ear. I mean, runny nose. I get those a couple of times. It's no big deal. I go, hey doc, give me this pill. I think I need this pill. I was watching this commercial last night and I feel like, hey, I got this problem and I think you should give me the pill. Am I the only one that sees anything wrong with that picture? Now, you also, I think us, the UK, and Europe maybe, are the only 3 countries, 3 out of 195 countries. That means 192 countries. I think that's right, 194, 95, whatever. Out of that, only 3 countries are allowed to direct consumer advertising. Now, why do you think direct-to-consumer advertising is only allowed in 3 countries? Because when I'm sitting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I've had a long day, it's stressful, just a lot on my mind. The world's falling apart, the apocalypse is coming, some zombies are probably going to show up. I'm thinking about this stuff, right? And I'm just, I saw that zombie preparedness that the Army was doing one time, and I'm just like, oh, that's probably always going to happen. And then I see this late night commercial at 3 a.m. for insomnia. I'm like, you know what? I got insomnia. That's it. I call my doctor tomorrow, say, hey, let me come in and see you. He's like, hell yeah, you got insurance. Come on in. I come in, I pay the copay, and then he gets to charge more. Then he gets to say he did a bunch of shit in there that he never did. And he's like, hey, what's going on? I was like, hey, I was up last night, 3 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't sleep. Felt like I had insomnia. I think I need a blah, blah, blah. And he's like, so you were up late last night? Check. Yeah. And you couldn't sleep? No, I couldn't sleep. Check. Okay. And does that happen often? Yeah, lately. Yeah, the world's falling apart. So yeah, a lot. Check. Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to give you 50 milligrams of testosterone, and then you're going to take that. And then if that doesn't work, we're going to increase it by another 50 milligrams. And yeah, so you get on that petroleum-based pill right there. We'll have you addicted to that in no time. And then it'll probably cause something else to go wrong with you. And once that does, just set another appointment with Betsy out front. Just give her a call and we'll get you back in and we'll prescribe you another pill to take care of your leaky ear. Does that sound good to you today? Okay, great. So here's your prescription. That's how the medical industry works. And then people have enough gall to tell me that I can't have an opinion about medical, the jibby jab, all this stuff, because I don't have DR in front of my name or PhD at the end of my title. That's an interesting concept, isn't it? On another news today, some really distasteful stuff that happened today is this. The Steelers celebrate the sack in the worst way possible by pretending to administer CPR. Now, I can't think of the worst thing in the world. I don't even want to play the video because I think it was extremely classist, very, very, very distasteful, very disrespectful. Hamlin on Monday night had cardiac arrest, was on the field, had to cancel the game. They were doing CPR on him for nearly 10 minutes on there. And I was just blown away that they would do something that distasteful. Was just, I don't even have any words. I really, truly don't. Then, I don't know if they're going to fine them, if they're going to do, but you just have to ask, where is empathy in this country? And that leads to empathy is gone. If you really look at what's going on, empathy is gone. I did not take the jibby. I have family members that did. I have people tell me that they pray that I pass away because I didn't, that did. Then I have people that didn't take it and tell me that my family members, they get what's coming to them. They get what's coming to them. Wow. They were scared. They played fear porn all day. They had death tickers in the top corner, counting it down. But hey, they deserve it, right? No empathy in this world is left. One thing I want to jump on here real quick is December, the U.S. Transportation Security Administration, TSA, an agency with Biden's Department of Homeland Security, acknowledged it has significantly expanded the facial recognition technology and security checkpoints in airports across the United States. Right? That is awesome. So in 16 of the nation's largest airports, they are now using face scans as a way to verify the identities of travelers, including Atlanta, Boston, Denver, and Los Angeles. And they're not going to tell you the other 12 because they don't want you to know. So this is to test facial recognition program started under the Trump administration in 2017. That's right, folks. The Trump administration started it. Some of y'all need to wake up a lot. I'm not going to jump on that. But one day I will. The system asks passengers to insert their photo identification to a security kiosk and then takes a look at them with a camera. After a few seconds pass, the machine uses artificial intelligence to compare the face scan with the photo ID. And if the system say that the two matches, then the passenger can move forward on his or her gate. If the potential mismatch is identified, so let's say you cut your hair off, you change the color, which women do all the time. You have more makeup on. Maybe when you went to the DMV, you're like, I hate the DMV. So you didn't put your makeup on. Everybody's driver's license picture looks awesome, right? Definitely looks like you always look, right? Your driver's license picture looks like you always look. Just like the signature on your driver's license, like you always sign it, right? Wrong. Okay, so how much more of a backlog is this going to create, right? So Again, I want to bring up the fact this was started during the Trump administration. This once again, is just another step towards digital ID. This is just another step towards the gates closing in on us, right? It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. I wish I could warn y'all more. I wish I could just jump in your head and make you believe it. It is coming. The chains, the digital ID, and the digital chains is coming. You're going to be in a digital prison soon. It's just a fact. It is what it is, right? If the truth makes you uncomfortable, don't blame the truth. Blame the lie that made you uncomfortable. That I had to put on here because a lot of people don't like what I say. I get emails, I get texts, they say, or messages that say, hey, I don't like what you said, and blah, blah, blah. Don't be mad at me. I didn't do it. I'm trying to get you to wake up and realize what has happened. I'm trying to get you to wake up and realize how much trouble we're truly in. I'm trying to wake up and realize that nobody at the top of this food chain cares about us. And I'm telling you, nobody. No one. Even the one you're thinking right now. Nobody. The common folks were being attacked from every angle. Our digital currency is about to come into play. When it does, oh my gosh, I can't tell you how bad that's going to be. This isn't fear, porn. No, this is facts, whether you like it or not. When that digital currency rolls in and that digital ID rolls in, that's it. You can't do anything without it. And what is that called in the Bible? In the Bible, it's all there, right? It's the mark of the beast. You will not buy or sell without the mark of the beast. Join us today at 3 p.m. for Just Thinking. Monday through Friday, morning headlines at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Just Thinking Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. We love you. Stay safe. Pray hard. Love hard. Love is the answer. Be empathetic. Understand that people are going through a very tough time. Ask questions and sit there. And just sometimes people need a shoulder to lean on. Just listen to the wind blow together. But be there for people. We need